Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stationary Engineer. Today coming at you with a learning quick tip, specifically on how to use Ohm's Law. Now you might be asking yourself, who was Ohm? Well, way back in 1827, there was a German scientist who studied and developed Ohm's Law. His name was Georg Simon Ohm. He actually spent 3 to 4 years actually electrocuting himself and noting what voltages and what currents did the most harm. Kind of weird if you ask me, but it's actually quite useful to us. So, what is Ohm's Law? Ohm's Law is the fundamental relationship between voltage, current, and resistance in an electrical circuit. Ohm's Law states that voltage, E, is equal to current, I, multiplied by resistance, R. This means if we know any two of these values, we can always solve for the third. I know everyone loves math. This is a little algebra for you. If you have two variables, you can always solve for the third. Ohm's Law also states that voltage is directly proportional to current and inversely proportional to resistance. So what does that actually mean in simple terms? Well, a change in voltage leads to a corresponding change in current. So if we double the voltage, we're going to double the amount of current because we have more pressure pushing more current. And if we cut the voltage in half, our current will be cut in half because now we have less electrical pressure pushing fewer electrons equals less current. Resistance, on the other hand, resistance and current are inversely proportional to one another, meaning they are complete opposites of each other. So, in the case of resistance and current, if the resistance doubles in a circuit, the current, we're going to cut that in half, because now only so much current is going to be allowed to flow through the circuit because of the increased resistance. Now, if we cut the resistance in half, if we take away some of that resistance, now more current is allowed to flow. So if we cut the resistance in half, we're going to double the amount of current that can now flow through. So as one goes up, the other one goes in the opposite direction. So how do we actually use Ohm's Law? I'm sure several of you have seen the Ohm's Law wheel with E for voltage, I for current, and R for resistance. Pretty simple to use. Let's get into it. So first, let's solve for voltage. So if you're looking for voltage, go ahead and cover up the E with your finger or your thumb. And now you're left with two different variables. You're left with I, which is current, and resistance. So if we take our current and we multiply by our resistance, we get the following formula. Voltage is equal to the current times the resistance in a circuit. Pretty simple math. Next up, let's solve for current. So again, we're going to cover up the I, which is current. We're left with two variables, E for voltage and R for resistance. So you can see one is on top of the other. So if we take our voltage and we divide it by our resistance, we have the following simple formula. Current in a circuit is equal to the voltage divided by the resistance. Moving on, let's solve for resistance. So again, cover up the R. What are we left with? We are left with voltage, and we are left with current. So what are we going to do? We're going to divide voltage divided by current. That's going to give us our resistance formula. So resistance in a circuit is equal to the voltage divided by the current. Pretty simple. So why do we use Ohm's Law? Well, we can use it to troubleshoot circuits. We can mathematically determine what should be happening in the circuit before we actually place a meter into the circuit or analyze the circuit. We can mathematically determine what should be happening and then actually go out and measure to see if what we measure matches what we have calculated. Next up, we can size fuses, breakers, and resistors, again, by figuring out what our total current is going to be in circuits. We can calculate our power needs by determining what our true wattage is. And finally, we can calculate voltage drop. So that's just four simple things that we can use Ohm's Law for. There's many, many, many other facets to using Ohm's law, diagnosing circuits, so on and so forth that we'll get into in future videos. So once again, thanks for watching The Stationary Engineer. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let us know that you like our comment. Give us a thumbs up. And always, always, always leave comments. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. Have a great day.